The silence after a storm is a strange thing. It's a quiet that feels louder than the chaos that came before it. What if the storm wasn't outside, but inside you? And what if the silence isn't peace, but the sound of you holding your breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop? Everyone thinks they know what trauma looks like. They picture the soldier's flashbacks, the loud nightmares, the visible scars. But that's a fraction of the story. The most common form of trauma is quiet. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just whispers. It's a shadow that follows you, changing the color of everything you see, a weight you can't explain, a fatigue that sleep can't fix. Today, we're not talking about the cinematic version of PTSD. We're talking about the quiet, insidious signs that millions experience, often without ever connecting the dots. These are the signs that make you feel broken without ever knowing why. So if you've ever felt like a stranger in your own life, keep watching. This might be the conversation you've been silently waiting for. Sign 1. Your body is in a constant, low-level fight. We often think of pain as a direct result of a physical injury. You touch a hot stove, your hand hurts. It's simple, but what about the pain that has no clear origin? The chronic backache that no doctor can explain? The tension headaches that feel like a vice grip on your skull? The stomach that is always in knots, no matter what you eat? This isn't in your head, it's in your body. When you go through something terrible, your nervous system can get stuck in on mode. It's constantly pumping out stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you for a danger that is already past. This constant state of high alert is exhausting. It wears down your body from the inside out. Your muscles are perpetually tense, ready to flee or fight a threat that now only exists as a memory. This is why you might feel 100 years old when you're only 30. It's the physical manifestation of an emotional wound. The body keeps the score, and sometimes it screams the pain the mind is too afraid to acknowledge. Sign 2. The world feels like a movie you're not in. This isn't sadness or depression, not in the way most people describe it. It's a profound sense of detachment. You might be at your own birthday party, surrounded by people who love you, and feel nothing. You can laugh, you can smile, you can say all the right things, but inside, there's a void. It's like watching your life from behind a thick pane of glass. You can see everything happening, but you can't feel it. You can't connect with it. This is called emotional numbing. It's a survival mechanism. When feeling the full extent of your pain is too overwhelming, your mind simply turns the volume down, all the way down. The problem is it can't selectively numb only the bad feelings. It numbs everything. Joy, excitement, love, connection, they all get muted. This can be one of the most isolating and confusing aspects of post-traumatic stress. You crave connection, yet you are incapable of feeling it. You start to believe that you are the problem, that you are inherently unloving or cold, when in reality, your system is just trying to protect you from a pain it believes you cannot survive. Sign 3. Your future feels like a foggy road. Do you remember being a kid and thinking about what you wanted to be when you grew up? A doctor, an astronaut, a parent. There was a sense of an open road, a long path stretching out ahead of you. For many who have experienced trauma, that road disappears. It's not that you're actively planning to end your life. It's a quieter, more passive belief that a long life just isn't in the cards for you. This is called a foreshortened future. You stop making long-term plans. The idea of saving for retirement, getting married in 5 years, or even thinking about next summer feels pointless and abstract. Why plan for a future you genuinely cannot imagine yourself in? This happens because trauma shatters your sense of safety and predictability. The world has shown you that everything can be destroyed in an instant. So, your subconscious mind learns not to get too attached to the idea of later. It's a deeply unsettling feeling, a quiet certainty that your story will be a short one. Sign 4. You are allergic to a normal life. You get a good job. You enter a healthy relationship. Things are, for all intents and purposes, going well, and it terrifies you. You find yourself picking fights, missing deadlines, spending money you don't have, or finding some other way to burn it all to the ground. This isn't because you want to be miserable. It's because chaos feels more familiar than peace. This is a form of self-sabotage, rooted in a shattered sense of self-worth. On some deep level, you don't believe you deserve happiness or stability. The feeling of calm is unsettling because you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So you drop it yourself. At least that way you're in control. It's a twisted way of protecting yourself. If you destroy the good things in your life, They can't be taken from you unexpectedly. It's a lonely cycle of building something beautiful, only to feel an irresistible urge to become the wrecking ball. The quiet after the self-imposed storm feels safer than the anxiety of waiting for an external one. Sign 5. You have lost your own story. Someone asks you a simple question. What are your hobbies? Or what are you passionate about? And you draw a blank. You remember things you used to enjoy. You remember being the person who loved hiking, or painting, or getting lost in a good book. But that person feels like a stranger. The connection to those parts of your identity has been severed. This is more than just a lack of interest. It's a loss of self. Trauma can be so all-consuming that it becomes the central point of your life's narrative. Everything is categorized as before the event and after the event. The after person is often someone you don't recognize. The things that used to define you seem trivial now, or the energy required to engage with them is simply gone. Rebuilding a sense of self after it has been fractured is a monumental task. It starts with the heartbreaking realization that you first have to go looking for the pieces. Sign 6. You see danger everywhere, even in kindness. The world, for you, is not a neutral place. It's a minefield. A car backfiring isn't just a loud noise. It's a gunshot. A person walking up behind you too quickly isn't just in a hurry. They are a threat. Your brain has been rewired to see potential danger in every shadow, every sudden movement, every unfamiliar situation. This is hypervigilance, but it goes deeper than just being jumpy. It affects your relationships. Someone being genuinely kind or complimentary can feel suspicious. Your mind races, thinking, what do they want from me? Trust becomes a foreign concept. Because your trust was so profoundly broken by your past experience, you start to believe that no one is truly safe. This constant scanning for threats, this inability to accept goodness at face value, is one of the most exhausting parts of living with unspoken trauma. You can't rest. Your mind is always on guard duty, and it isolates you from the very people who might be able to help you heal. Sign 7. Your memory has holes in it. We're not just talking about forgetting parts of the traumatic event itself, which is a common form of dissociation. We're talking about your day-to-day memory being shot. You can't remember what you had for breakfast. You forget entire conversations you had yesterday. You walk into a room and have no idea why you're there. And this happens constantly. Your brain feels like a faulty computer with corrupted files. This happens because the parts of your brain responsible for memory formation and retrieval, like the hippocampus, are deeply affected by trauma and chronic stress. Your mind is so preoccupied with managing the unprocessed trauma and scanning for threats that it has very little bandwidth left for encoding new, everyday memories. It can make you feel like you're losing your mind, but it's often a direct, physiological consequence of what you've been through. Your brain is doing its best to operate under impossible conditions. Sign 8. You push away the people you need most. Intimacy, whether emotional or physical, can feel suffocating. The closer someone gets, the more you feel an overwhelming urge to run away. You might ghost people, end relationships abruptly, or create emotional walls so thick that no one can get through. You crave love, but you are terrified of it. This happens because vulnerability feels like a threat to your survival. To be truly close to someone means to let your guard down, to trust them with your wounds. But your experience has taught you that being vulnerable leads to getting hurt, so you keep everyone at arm's length. It's a lonely paradox. The very thing you need to heal, safe, loving connection, is the very thing your trauma response tells you to avoid at all costs. You're left in a self-imposed exile, watching the world connect from a distance, believing it's a party you were simply never invited to. Sign 9. You feel a crushing, unexplained guilt. This is perhaps one of the most cruel and illogical signs of PTSD. You feel an immense sense of guilt and shame about the traumatic event. Even if it was in no way your fault, you might think, I should have done something differently. I should have been stronger. Or, why did I survive when others didn't? This is known as survivor's guilt, or a distorted sense of blame. The human brain craves control and understanding. When something terrible and random happens, it's so terrifying that the mind scrambles to make sense of it. Often the easiest way to create a sense of control is to blame yourself, because if it was your fault, it means you had some agency, some power in the situation. And if you had power, then maybe you can prevent it from happening again. This internalized blame is a heavy, toxic burden. It's a lie that your trauma tells you, a story you write, to make the unbearable feel manageable. But it's a story that keeps you trapped in the past, forever punishing the one person who needs your compassion the most, yourself. If any of these 9 signs felt less like a list and more like a chapter from your own private story, please know you are not broken and you are not alone. These are not signs of personal failure. They are the normal reactions of a human nervous system to an abnormal event. Recognizing the shape of your wound is the first step toward healing it. The silence can end, the storm can pass, and the quiet that follows can, one day, finally feel like peace. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this video helped you understand yourself or someone you know a little better, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more conversations that matter. And now, I want to ask you something. You don't have to share any details, but which of these quiet signs resonated with you the most? Let's talk in the comments. By sharing our experiences, we can make this corner of the internet a place where no one has to feel like they're going through this alone. Take care of yourselves and each other.